So you guys remember the PPP money? Yes, this is the money that was supposed to be allocated to small businesses to help them weather the storm throughout this pandemic. And I remember covering how I think it was the fourth stimulus package allocated money to lobbyists. Yes, the very people responsible for the rampant corruption of your political apparatus. Moreover, not just lobbyists, but dark money groups. Dark money groups would also be getting PPP money. I mean, we're talking about people who make millions a year, who have absolutely no need for this stuff. But this is part of the grand scheme, the overall scheme of screwing you over, the worker, the working class, making sure that even during a global pandemic, you will get no health care, you will get crumbs, and you will sit there and you will enjoy it, and you will like it, and you will praise AOC and the squad for screwing you over and giving the largest amount of wealth ever to the oligarchs, to the 1%. How nice. It doesn't stop there. You want to know who else got some of your nice taxpayer money? You know who else got some of that? Oh, buckle up. Buckle up, baby. Friends of the Israeli Defense Force lobby group secures forgivable U.S. COVID loans for Israeli soldiers. Look how sweet. They even took a photograph to say thanks. You can't make this up. You literally just gave the Israeli Defense Force your small business money. So a nonprofit organization that quote unquote provides for the well-being of soldiers of the IDF was awarded a $2.5 million forgivable PPP loan by the Small Business Administration. The Friends of Israeli Defense Forces is the only organization authorized to represent the IDF across the US and Panama. So their loan was filed under the category of quote-unquote religious organization, despite the NPO being listed as a Y-12 organization under the IRS classification system. Okay? So that way they could be tax exempt on top of it. Unbelievable. So the Friends of the IDF is the largest donor organization to the IDF, and its CEO receives an annual salary of over $1 million. And this guy served as Netanyahu's military secretary before retiring in 2010. Questioned about the untoward bonuses of $500,000 he was given by the NPO, Khalifi justifies it by asserting that he manages to raise 3 times as much as the second largest organization and claims the job is one that nobody is enthusiastic about, despite perks like flying business class as part of his contract. Oh, so what a poor soul. He has such an uncomfortable job making $1 million a year. Oh. The New York-based 501c3 organization raises the vast majority of its average annual haul of $113 million over the period of Khalifi's tenure through extravagant gala events and functions attended by major celebrities like Barbra Streisand, Larry King, and Arnie. What a shame. So last October, they raised $37 million from New York real estate leaders, right? And they also had a Night of Heroes event, which featured a delegation of 20 IDF soldiers and several high-profile guests. How nice. How wonderful. So you guys, the American taxpayers, not only do you give Israel, the Zionist occupation, $3.8 billion of your taxpayer money every single year, but on top of it, they even screwed you during a pandemic. What am I supposed to say? You can't make this up. You cannot make this up. You just gave them $2.5 million. And by the way, the $3.8 billion that you give them every year, you can thank Obama for that, not Trump, because this was actually hashed out in 2016, if I recall correctly. Yes? So they finalized the deal to give Israel $38 billion in military aid over the course of 10 years. So 3.8 billion every year. Wow. Wow. Isn't that nice? So you, the American worker, you got a one-time check of $1,200, peanuts, crumbs. You got no health care. You got no social safety nets. You got screwed, even though you have more resources and more wealth than any other country on the face of the planet. And on top of it, your money went to another country. So on top of feeding your own oligarchs, it went to another country. And to add insult to injury, the IDF, who are akin to a terrorist organization. You know, speaking of the IDF, I'd like to show you where your money went and what they do with your money. Are you ready? You're owed that, yes? I think you're owed an explanation, aren't you? So would you like to see where your money goes? Here, take a look. So these are undercover forces, right? And what they do is they dress up like Palestinians. They wear civilian clothes. They're basically undercover soldiers. Yes? They run around with guns. They harass, kidnap, arrest, beat up, brutalize Palestinian men. Here, take a look. Did you see that? Did you see the Palestinian man having the living daylights kicked out of him by these undercover IDF and the ones in uniform? That's what American taxpayer dollars go to directly. There's another man being carted away. You can see them holding up their pistols in the air to indicate that they're part of the undercover operation. The only democracy in the Middle East. Wow. Wow. Amazing, right? How pleasant, how charming. This is just one example of what happens to Palestinians on a regular, daily basis. And on top of it, they openly bomb Gaza, control their water, electricity, their food. They openly execute people on the street, even if you're disabled. I covered the story of Iyad Halla and others. And this is what American citizens pay for. $3.8 billion a year. Oh, and make no mistake, they have universal health care. Oh, yeah, they take care of their own. Yeah, they have universal health care. You don't. So this is what American taxpayer dollars pay for. And on top of it, even during a pandemic, small business loan money ends up in their hands. But go ahead, please, by all means, go ahead and defend AOC and Ilhan Omar and Bernie Sanders. They're doing right by you. They're doing right by Palestinians. Thank you so much for contributing to the continued oppression and genocide and ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. Very, very appreciated. Not to mention that you have several grant programs that have been set up in the United States, specifically where local police departments can apply and they will receive training from none other than the Zionist occupation. So it should come to you as no surprise why you see the exact same tactic used in Israel on Palestinians being used in the United States by US cops against civilians, against African Americans. The very same exact tactic of police putting their knees on their necks to cut off their oxygen supply and choke them, even when they're in the handcuffs, even when they're already restrained. That's training from Israel. And you pay them for that training too. How lovely. Wow. This is not some one-off thing. This is the status quo. This is daily life for Palestinians. I'm not saying that as hyperbole. I'm not saying that to exaggerate. No, literally, this is daily life. This is day-to-day how Palestinians live under the illegal occupation by the Zionists. Every single day. And this isn't even the killing. You haven't even seen the killing. This is just the brutalization, as if either one is okay. These people have no authority. They have no international right to do this. They have no legal right to do this. They have no moral right to do this. They are illegally occupying Palestinian land. It's not a conflict. It's not a war. It is a military occupation of the Palestinian people. What is their crime? They threw a rock. They threw rocks. You know, even if Palestinians had drones and tanks and aircraft carriers, it is their legal right to resist occupation by any means necessary. Carve that into your brain and never forget that. That is their legal right under international law to resist armed occupation using any means necessary. That is a fucking fact. It could not be more explicit.